Okay, real talk. You're gonna spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your Disney World hotel. Don't you want to make sure you're choosing the right one? Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and I'm here to talk about the worst Disney World hotels for 2022. Now, notice the wording here. I'm not saying that these hotels are the worst, period. I'm saying that in 2022, you can expect some hotel closures, some crowds, and other resort inconveniences that may be, super annoying for your upcoming vacation, causing you to say thanks, but no thanks to otherwise pretty solid hotels. The point of this video, not to drag Disney hotels, but to help you figure out which ones are the best for you and which ones are the worst for you in 2022. Now, if you get done with today's video and think, man, I wish I had a cheat sheet for this info, then you are in luck. Head over to disneyfoodblog.com/worsthotels2022 to get a free PDF sent straight to your inbox. When you drop your email, we'll also sign you up for our DFB newsletter so you can stay up to date on all the latest news coming out of the Disney parks. Okay, we're going to start with the Disney Skyliner hotels. Whoa, don't click out of the video. Let me explain. Stick with me. Skyliner hotels, like Disney's Riviera Resort, Disney's Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, they aren't going to be the worst resorts to stay in all year long, but there are two instances where they may provide you with a lot more frustration than convenience. Starting January 23rd and extending through January 28th, the Disney Skyliner is going to be closed for renovations. So the only modes of transportation available during this time for the Skyliner hotels are going to be buses. If you're planning a trip soon and you're thinking about those resorts simply for the Skyliner access, make sure your vacation doesn't coincide with those renovation days. October 1st may also be a rather hectic time for Skyliner hotels. This year, Epcot turns the big 4-0, so crowd levels in Epcot could wind up being rather intense during that week. This could also mean the Skyliner stations may be more crowded than usual, especially at the very beginning and very end of the day. If Epcot or Disney's Hollywood Studios are a priority for you around either of these times, consider instead staying at one of the hotels that are within walking distance of these parks. Also, FYI, don't forget Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind will be opening in Epcot this summer. That week or month, depending on how long the celebration lasts, is going to be pretty Skyliner heavy as well. Now, remember, those Skyliner hotels are great and the Skyliner is awesome, but at park opening and park closing, those lines can get really, really overwhelming. We've seen the Epcot Skyliner line at 3 hours before. So just keep in mind that if you're staying in a Skyliner hotel and you're going during a relatively busy time, you may want to head to the parks a little earlier than normal or a little later than normal, and same for heading back to your hotel. Now, Disney's Boardwalk Inn and Disney's Yacht and Beach Club resorts are just a hop, skip, and jump away from Epcot's International Gateway, so you may want to look into staying in one of those instead if Epcot is your destination during those busy times this year. Just keep in mind that all of these hotels are deluxe, so they'll cost a pretty penny. You could also consider a split stay and break up your time between an International Gateway hotel and a value resort to save some money where you can. And you might also want to consider the Walt Disney World Good Neighbor hotels, the Swan and Dolphin. The Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin are located smack dab within the Disney World property, but they're owned by Marriott. That being said, they still have a lot of the same perks that the Disney-owned hotels have, including early and extended park hours and complimentary transportation. Oh, they're also within walking distance of both Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios and the Skyliner. Added bonus, Swan and Dolphin will provide you with a deluxe resort stay at a more moderate resort price. My big bummer with the Swan and Dolphin is that their transportation drops you off at the Transportation and Ticket Center at Magic Kingdom instead of the bus stops at the Magic Kingdom, which that is a bummer. But if I'm literally saving hundreds of dollars and I can still walk to 2 parks, I'll take it. All right, the second group of Disney World hotels that are going to be the worst for 2022 are those hotels with longer transportation wait times. For the record, Disney buses that take you from your hotel to the parks and back again, they're great. They're free, they're efficient, they get the job done. Some hotels have a single bus stop, while other resorts have a bus loop, meaning your bus will stop at multiple locations around the hotel before making its way to its final destination. Even though these internal bus loops are necessary to get to as many guests as possible at the more spread out hotels, the execution can become a negative experience for certain folks on certain trips, including upcoming 2022 trips. But before we get into that, let's look at all the resorts with internal bus loops. Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge has 2 bus stops. You've got Kidani and Jumbo House. Disney's Coronado Springs has 4. Saratoga Springs and Old Key West have 5. And Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort has a whopping 7 internal bus stops. If these giant hotels didn't have multiple bus stops, guests would be exhausted from all the walking by the end of their vacation if they had to go all the way to the lobby to catch the bus. So that's why multiple stops exist. More bus stops around the hotel loop mean having a room that's potentially closer to at least one of those. And because these hotels are so large, bus loops allow shuttles to pick up more guests at a time. That being said, those bus loops can slow down your arrival times. If the bus stop you're at is one of the last ones on the loop, then a bus may already be almost full by the time it gets to you if it's not completely full, especially at those morning and evening rush hour times when the parks are opening and closing. That can be a super bummer if you're using the Disney Genie Plus service, which gives you those lightning lane queue lines for rides and attractions. If you arrive at one of the bus stops on the internal loop of your hotel 15 minutes before park opening, but you have to wait over half an hour before you're finally able to board one of the buses, you're going to be missing out on precious lightning lane reservation time since you can only make those reservations inside the parks. And if you have a reservation for a restaurant that you're needing to make on time, you'll need to make sure you're at the bus stop really early. Figure in the bus stop wait, the travel time, security check, entry, and walking to the restaurant itself. Believe me, I have been very, very late for restaurant reservations in World Showcase because I feel like a lot of those restaurants are just a mile's walk from either of the Epcot entrances. Now, you're definitely going to want to get over to your bus stop at least an hour and a half before your reservation time to make sure you're not scrambling and stressing to get to the restaurant. Don't want to battle the internal bus loop struggle in 2022? You got a couple of alternatives. First off, you may want to splurge on a hotel with easy-to-access transportation that's close to the park you'll be frequenting the most. If you're going to Magic Kingdom most during this trip, you may want to consider monorail resorts like Polynesian, Contemporary, Grand Floridian. Just check and see what hotels will be closest to the park you'll be hitting up the most on your trip. If you're looking for a cheaper route, you can always consider booking a Good Neighbor hotel. These hotels partner with Disney but are not directly owned by Disney. Or you can book a Disney Value Resort. From there, you can rely on alternative modes of transportation if you don't want to use either of their complimentary shuttle services. If you decide to take your own car to Disney, you'll be able to navigate the property when you want and how you want without waiting for an extended period of time or having to share a vehicle with a dozen or so other guests. But keep in mind that if you do bring your car to a Disney World Value Resort, you'll have to pay to keep it parked there, around $15 per night. Even if you're staying at a Good Neighbor hotel that doesn't charge you for nightly parking, you still have to pay to park at the Disney parks themselves. Don't worry, you won't have to pay extra if you're already paying to park at a Disney-owned resort. You can also use that parking money elsewhere instead, like for a rideshare service. If you need to get somewhere in a jiffy, the Lyft app has a priority pickup button, which will get you a faster pickup time at a slightly higher price. Just keep in mind that these rideshare prices fluctuate depending on the season and the demand. That's all food for thought here. Wherever you end up staying, you'll find a way to get to the parks. Now you just have to figure out which hotel is going to provide you the best option for you on your budget and schedule. Okay, very, very obvious in the list of the worst Disney World hotels for 2022. Hotels that remain closed. Thankfully, as we head into 2022, most of the hotels have reopened since the 2020 closure. But one value resort is still taking its sweet time. Initially, Disney's All-Star Sports Resort was supposed to reopen on December 9th, 2021, but Disney delayed the reopening in order to refresh the sports-themed area. Now, Disney's All-Star Sports won't be reopening until March 31st, 2022. Yes, that does mean January through March will have one less value option to choose from, but you still have a variety of choices nonetheless. The other two Disney All-Star resorts, Disney's All-Star Movies and Disney's All-Star Music, will be available, as well as Disney's Art of Animation Resort and Pop Century Resort. But if you're planning a trip soon and you want to book a value, I'd get on that ASAP. Disney Value Resorts are booking up really fast in 2022, so the sooner you can lock in your reservation, the better. Number 4 on our list of the worst Disney World hotels for 2022 are hotels with pool closures. Disney Resort pools are a big appeal for these hotels. They've got cute theming, fun slides, multiple locations, but even resort pools have their down seasons for cleaning and all around TLC. From January 2022 to April 2022, the Samawati Springs pool in Kidani Village at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge will be closed. Though Jambo House's Uzima Springs pool will still be available to guests, the closure of the Samawati pool still means that you may hear construction noise while this refurbishment is underway, quote unquote. Construction won't be happening between dusk and 9 a.m., but this noise could still interrupt the much needed afternoon nap if you're staying in a room close to the Samawati Springs pool. Also, I'm going to be totally honest with you, it is a giant hassle, at least for me, in my humble opinion, to have to trek all the way over to Jambo House to use the pool instead of having it right there at Kidani Village. That's just annoying. It's not worth it. Again, my opinion. Now, if you're wanting to book a room at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge because you plan on spending a lot of time at Disney's Animal Kingdom Park, then planning a trip for later in the year after these pool renovations finish up might be more beneficial for you anyway. Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain, will also be closed from January 4th through mid-April. One fewer ride at Animal Kingdom, which already doesn't have an overabundance of rides, could lead to longer queue lines for other experiences around the park. So staying in a hotel that's closer to Animal Kingdom and further away from the other 3 parks may not be as beneficial earlier in the year than it will be later on. Disney's Art of Animation pools will also be experiencing closures throughout the beginning of the year. The Little Mermaid Flip and Fins pool refurbishments are happening right now and will continue into late February. Then from late February through mid-April, the Cars-themed Cozy Cone pool will be closed. That means late February has the possibility of having 2 of the 3 Art of Animation pools closed around the same time, which also means crowd levels around the resort's main pool, the Finding Nemo-themed Big Blue pool, will be significantly bigger. And I'll be honest with you, value resort hotel pools are often pretty crowded anyway. Looking for a resort with pools that'll be open during this time? Disney's Coronado Springs has the Lost City of Cibola pool, complete with a 50-foot pyramid, 123-foot water slide, and a spacious whirlpool spa. Very, very cool pool. Time for another shout out to the Yacht and Beach Club too. If you're a water park and swimming pool junkie, then Stormalong Bay will provide you with 3 acres of water fun, including a lazy river, which is very, very cool, a sand bottom pool for the kids, and a life-size pirate shipwreck, which is, of course, the slide. Disney's Polynesian Village Resort has the lava pool with an overlooking volcano, 0 depth entry point, and 142-foot water slide, and nearby lounge, the Oasis Bar and Grill, for a couple of afternoon bites and drinks. Now, each of these hotels also have other pools around the property too, in case you prefer a more relaxing pool environment. But for some of you, pool closures may not be a huge deal, especially since the renovations I mentioned are happening kind of in the winter and early spring. Though Disney's pools are heated, Orlando isn't immune to the occasional cold streak between January through April, so if swimming in the pools is going to be a major part of your vacation and you don't want to risk getting out of the pool and freezing on the walk back to your room, then a summertime Disney vacation and resort stay might be more up your alley anyway. Okay, next on our list of the worst Disney World hotels for 2022 are the hotels that are getting renovations and expansions. Progress is inevitable, sure, but construction is a pain. Epcot's many walls around its construction zones can vouch for that. One of the big construction projects for Disney hotels will be happening at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort this year. Starting in the spring, Grand Flo will be expanding their villas throughout the Big Pine building. By the end of this project, 200 new resort studios will be available at the Disney Vacation Club level. These studios will be able to lodge up to 5 guests. Now, this construction is slated to finish sometime in the summer. Although the expanded villa options will be fantastic news for DVC members, the removal of standard rooms to make way for these studios may potentially make it more difficult for non-DVC members to snag a room here. If you're really wanting to stay at Disney's Grand Floridian Hotel after the resort has finished up, but you don't want to buy Disney Vacation Club to achieve that, you can always consider renting DVC points through a third party. We have an entire video about how to go about renting DVC points and how it can potentially save you hundreds on your next Disney resort stay, so check it when you get the chance. If you're wanting to stay in a more spacious villa, whether you're traveling with a larger party or you just want a little more breathing room during your stay, but you don't want to stay at the Grand Floridian while it's under construction, Disney still has a bunch of other villas you can choose from. Disney's Polynesian Villas and Bungalows, Animal Kingdom Villas, Jambo House and Kidani, and Copper Creek Villas and Cabins at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. There's a bunch of Disney Vacation Club villas. Every single deluxe resort at this point has Disney Vacation Club villas attached. And you can learn more about these DVC offerings on our DFB website, which I'll link down in the description. Okay, number 6 on our list is straight up hotels that just don't suit you. Let's cut to the chase here. Every travel party is going to be different. Your group has different itineraries, different preferences, different turnoffs than other folks. So for my last point, let's run through a couple of specific examples. If you or someone in your group has mobility concerns, then hotels that are spread out or don't have elevator access, like Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, could be more of a hassle to navigate. Instead, a more intimate resort like Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter could provide you with access to their lobby, restaurants, and pools without having to walk 5,000 miles to get to each. If you're on vacation with little ones, then you might need to go with a super themed hotel with lots of colors and in-your-face characters like All-Star Music or All-Star Movies, which means someplace relaxing and chill like Disney's Old Key West might not be the best choice. And of course, vice versa. If you're looking for a more relaxing stay, then you may invest in a more luxurious hotel room rather than stay in a value where there are tons of families with younger kiddos. All this to say, do your research. Check out our Disney Resort ranking video on this channel to assure you're making the best choice on this very expensive decision. There are over 22 hotels on Disney World property and a lot of hotels off Disney World property, meaning you got a lot to consider. Don't drop those thousands of dollars on a hotel that's not going to be right for you. I know I say this all the time. I'm like a broken record, but it's really, really true. Just a little bit of pre-trip research can make sure that your trip is 10,000 times better. I know I'm exaggerating, 10 times better than it would be if you chose a hotel that isn't right for you, that doesn't suit what you want specifically. So yes, while all Disney hotels are right for somebody, a lot of them aren't going to be right for you, and they are going to be the worst Disney hotels for you and your family this year. So you're going to have to reject a few. I'm not going to lie. It's okay. They can take it. And hopefully this video is going to give you a solid springboard as you explore all the options available. And don't forget about that cheat sheet, you guys. Now that we're wrapping up, you can head over to disneyfoodblog.com/worsthotels2022. Get your free PDF of everything I talked about today. Plus, you'll automatically be signed up for our DFB newsletter, where I'll keep you up to date on all the things Disney news and tips, which you can unsubscribe from anytime. It's cool. I won't take offense. All right, y'all, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.